welcome to the Atlas Film Reviews podcast, starring myself, Ryan Tomlinson, and...
Andrew Knowles!
Okay, sticking to that, obviously. Alright. Today, we're going to start off by talking about political correctness gone film. I'm referring to, of course, the phenomena recently with people being mildly racist and sexist because they're far too precious over their intellectual properties. For example, recently in the new stage play of the Harry Potter series, the casting choice has been to have a black Hermione. Fantastic step for progression and all this kind of thing. However, the Potter fans, not best pleased.
Well, some Potter fans are
not
pleased.
All, yeah.
I myself had a rather harder time of coming to terms with it than I would have liked, because I like to see myself as a kind and thoughtful liberal left-wing person. But there was part of me that just felt... This is very difficult for me, because I now have to try to defend my opinions on this matter without sounding like a racist arse.
It's fine. I'll edit out any unnecessary racism.
Just
worry.
Make sure you edit out the racism and not the bits where I'm explaining why I'm sounding racist. Oh, this could be awful. I've come to terms with it now. It's fine. It's good. But for me, reading the books, I know it didn't ever specify, but reading the books and watching Emma Watson, she was... Well, for me, Emma Watson is Hermione.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think one thing that I think we should talk about to begin with is, like, why do you feel... Because it's not just this Harry Potter. There have been so many instances of remakes and reboots where things have changed and... the fucking snot-nosed fans have been up in arms going, "Oh no, it's not right."
You
like,
can't have a black stormtrooper.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like that's
You've
perfect.
never seen their faces.
Exactly, that's a perfect thing. You know, like the whole Star Wars thing when Finn was announced as the main character. You know, with John Boyega playing it, always you can't have a black stormtrooper, black Jedi. I mean, never mind the fact that James Earl Jones was the voice of Darth Vader or Samuel L. Jackson was Mace Windu, but you know, people are dumb. So
Billy D. Williams was the coolest character in any Star Wars film.
Yeah, apart from, you know, all of the black people that are already in Star Wars. But I think
yes,
what's important is that people, including yourself, including myself, when it comes to fantastical things, get drawn into these
possessive
worlds.
Of it.
Absolutely, and not only that, it's like, as you've said, they see things in a very certain way, and as soon as that's changed,
we like our fantasy worlds basically to reflect the worlds we live in ourselves.
It's and like, have you ever like had an experience? Because I had this experience the other day, listening to like a radio program, for example, and you can hear this voice, and instantly you put a face to it, but you go and you Google the actor's name, and it looks nothing like you expected. And for me, I'm just like, I would go, no, that's not how I imagined it. I'm going to continue imagining this character in this particular way because it fits in with my world. And I think that's why people get so precious. Especially, I mean, in our last podcast, we both said how important Star Wars was to us. Mm-hmm. And Harry Potter is equally important to a lot of people. And then people hook onto it like this mythology, like you said last time, a mythology that people refer to. People hook onto it, and as soon as that's slightly changed, it's like like when people say, "Oh, yeah, well, you know, Jesus was Middle Eastern." People get really upset about that for the exact same reasons.
But that's... Ooh, I like how we're equating Hermione to Jesus. That's quite clear.
Yeah, not quite the same, maybe, but...
But yes, I mean, it doesn't actually affect the whole mythology, though. Hermione being black doesn't actually... Well, I mean, it matters, obviously, it's a great progressive move.
From a progressive point of view, certainly, but...
it doesn't change the world.
And
it doesn't... Well, I suppose it changes the actual real world we live in slightly for the better, but... The imagined world, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't take anything away. Doesn't add anything. No,
black or white or. But I think what was always nice, what I think J.K. Rowling did with Hogwarts was actually a place where race doesn't matter. I think wizards, as far as I can tell from the books anyway, don't see race.
To mention another franchise that kind of has experienced a similar thing recently, the new Fox version, the new reboot of Fantastic Four.
Did people actually watch that?
I have no idea. I certainly didn't. I've seen enough of it. I didn't watch the whole thing. God. Anyway, whereas you're the Potterhead and I'm a comic book fiend. Like for me, when I heard that the cast announcements for the Fantastic Four, first of all, I wasn't happy about Miles Teller being Mr. Fantastic. because I think he was far too young. I think he's an incredible actor. After I saw Whiplash, my faith was restored a little bit. But he's not Mr. Fantastic at all.
Mr. Fantastic is a middle-aged man.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and he has to have the grey streaks, regardless. Yeah. No, he needs to, that's just who the character is in the comic books. But the liberty that I kind of felt a little bit uncomfortable with was the change of Johnny Storm from white to black. Now, my issue has got nothing to do with the race. I'm all for black superheroes. In the comic books, black character has taken over the helm of Captain America. There's also a black character that's taken over the helm of Spider-Man. I think that's fantastic. The difference is, however, the new Spider-Mans and the new Captain America
are new people putting on costumes.
Exactly, they're established people. Well, Miles Morales is a new character who's taken on Spider-Man, and the chap who has taken on Captain America is the Falcon, and a well-established black character, and I think that's great. However, to take an intellectual property that everyone knows kind of already and change it slightly can cause huge amounts of effects. And for me, when I heard that Johnny Storm was going to be black, my instant thought was, well, this begins to change the dynamic, because it means that Sue Storm is adopted. And in the film, it's black parents, black Johnny Storm, white Sue Storm. Not an issue. You can have your adopted families and all that kind of thing. But I just kind of felt that in a way it did shift it a little bit, having those race things. I know it doesn't touch on it in the film, but personally I don't know. It sounds like I'm being a stick in the mud and not being progressive at all. But there's something about it, and makes me no better than anyone else that we're already criticising. It's just, there's something about it, and it's not good, and I know it's not good, but it's just for me, I think, for example, if they'd made Ben Grimm, the Thing, a black man who, I don't know how they portray that when he became a rock monster.
But must be the voice, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, exactly. If they had made him a black character, I would have had no problem with that. Or if even if they'd made up their own Fantastic Four.
But that's a sort of interesting thing of double standards, because what is it? Is it just when it would have knock-on effects to the plot very slightly, or is it when it's is it the character, the idea of the character as a pre-established thing, this character set up in the comics, or with the Hermione thing set up in the books, although obviously her race is never specified in the books, but this established, is it the change to the character, or is it the knock-on effect changing the character?
I think for me it is the knock-on.
How different is it for the character to
be adopted
black and to be white?
Yeah, for Sue Storm to be adopted and to be black and white, probably very little. But because, for all my sins, I am that snotty-nosed comic book fan who goes, well, actually, in the comic books it's different. I am that guy, and I hate to be it, but I am.
Is it just then that we're just a little reluctant to embrace change? Do you think that's fundamental?
Of course we are. That's human nature, I think. As much as we can stand here and point the finger and go, you're not being progressive enough, there's no reason that Johnny Storm and his family should be black, and there's no reason that Hermione should be black. Which is true. There is no reason. And if anything,
there's no reason she should be, no reason she shouldn't be either.
Yeah, exactly. There is no reason that this change should ever change our mind. But because we've got our nails and our teeth dug into these things that mean a lot to us, as soon as a small bit of change happens, we are thrown slightly off kilter. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are racist. It's just that you're uncomfortable with what you love being slightly changed. I say with the Captain America thing, if you're not treading on the toes of something that is already pre-established, and you have law-based reasons for things to change, like I say,
that's LORE, not law. We're not segregationists or anything.
If you have a different character take on the helm of a costume or be a new member of a party, I think that's totally fine. Have as many different races as you want, because multiculturalism is so important and it is great to have. And something I said to you the other day about how the amount of people who have come forward with John Boyega, for example, being a lead in Star Wars and Rey being the main character, with young ladies, with black people, with other people of minorities, saying now it is actually more easy for me to associate myself with these characters within these films rather than just watching a load of blonde white people running around. That being said, though, we are both weirdos, and we don't necessarily associate ourselves with the big muscular runarounds. Like,
that is true. There is not a lot of me and Chris Hemsworth, although I'd like there to be.
Apart from maybe the long hair, that's probably the only.
No, you missed the gay sex joke I was going for.
You just want to bang Chris Hemsworth.
He's like a muscular Kurt Cobain. It's just
a muscular Kurt Cobain. That brings us quite nicely onto
the Danish Girl.
The Danish Girl. Our next subject.
Not a biopic on Sandy Toksvig, unfortunately.
Sadly not. That's a film I prefer to watch.
God.
I think.
I would love that film.
Now, the reason kind of it ties in quite nicely is because Eddie Redmayne, when it was first announced that he was going to be playing this character, there were a lot of people from the LGBT and trans community that came out and said, "Oh, we feel that it should be."
Could you not have got a transgender act?
Exactly, like we feel that it should be that. I mean, we've seen the film, and he does an incredible job. And the thing that I will always come back and say is the one thing I will always say in response to that, is Ian McKellen is not a wizard. Like, and for me, like, you don't necessarily have to be that as an actor. You don't need to be X to portray Y. Like. It's one of these things where it's like some things, obviously, you can't have people running around blacking up
unless they're Robert. It is
Robert Downey Jr. Yeah,
it's
Tropic Thunder.
My God, his name is Robert.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird.
It's weird, isn't it?
If he's called Robert. Yeah, no, it has to be Robert Downey Jr. or Robert on its own.
RDJ. That makes it easier.
Yeah.
Unless it's him.
In Tropic Thunder,
it
was okay for reasons no one can conveniently
explain. They got away
explain.
with it. No idea. But I think Eddie Redmayne did a good job. But to avoid any more vaguely offensive topics, let's move on to reviewing the film. So, Andrew, what did you think?
I thought it was, it was nice. It had its moments. It was interesting. If it was about anything more than really about his transition and his, well, I say his, meaning
the beginning of the film.
Well, not meaning. I'm talking. I find myself talking rather than talking about the character. I'm talking about Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah.
So if I say him, obviously I'm talking about Eddie Redmayne rather than the character he's playing. But anyway, I thought really it was a story about the difficult but loving, strange relationship between Eddie Redmayne's character and his wife,
absolutely,
played by Alicia Vikander,
I believe so,
who is also from is it Deus Ex, Ex
Machina?
Machina, that's it. Which she's a brilliant actress.
Do you know what? For me, like, just as you brought it up, like, she stole the show. Like, her performance, like, Eddie Redmayne did a fantastic job. However, it's the kind of the go-to my left foot role that is kind of like, you'll probably get nominated, you might even win it, but it's because it's easy pickings. Like,
Alicia Vikander was the more interesting character.
Yeah, incredibly interesting character. And her progression into kind of understanding Eddie Redmayne's character and stuff. However, that being said, though, there's a beautiful scene when they go and see the more progressive of the doctors, and Eddie Redmayne's character says, "I believe I'm a woman," and the wife turns around and says, "And so do I." And for me, that was a beautiful moment. But it's kind of...
But
it's out of the blue. They don't give her enough progression.
There's been nothing building up to that. They've just gone... They've, written the scene. They've gone, oh, this scene is great. And then no one's sort of went, yeah, but are we building up to this at all? And it's like, well, no, we're just gonna... We've got the first bit of the film. Then we've got this scene where it's like she accepts him for who he is.
And then we've got the rest of the movie.
Who she is. And then, yeah, you've got the rest of the movie. And then, we're done. We'll finish with a scene of a kite blowing away.
Scarf.
Oh, Scarf. Yes, of course. Sorry.
I mean, it could have been anything. I think it's been in about 7 films already. So, but I think.
Oh, shout out for Putin.
Oh yeah,
he's in trouble though. That actor.
Is he?
There's an actor. Well, no, he's not
explain.
In trouble. But there's an actor in The Danish Girl. Honestly, the film is worth seeing just to see him because he is the spitting image of Vladimir Putin.
Like, to an extent where it's not even funny, because I leant over to Andrew when we were in the cinema together and said, oh my god, it's Vladimir Putin. And he gave me this look like, what are you on about? 2 seconds later...
Turned back to the screen, saw the guy, thought, it's Vladimir Putin.
Like, there's no two ways about it. The guy is Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, so Vladimir Putin has a very, very brave...
That's just how we'll refer to him.
It's a very brave cameo from him. I mean, particularly given his stance on sort of gay people and sort of liberalism generally, it's a brave
It's
move.
surprising, really, yeah.
But, it's nice to see this softer side. But anyway, I mean, obviously the actor, it's an actor playing
It's not Vladimir Putin, we
Vladimir
need to...
Putin.
Yeah.
However, he's in trouble because Leonardo DiCaprio, everyone's little heartthrob, has said that he'd actually quite like to play Putin. So if there is a Putin film going on around there somewhere that's being scripted, which there probably isn't, let's face it. But,
he's not that interesting.
I'd write it, but just to get paid. But yeah, so it could be a showdown between the Putin lookalike and
Leonardo
DiCaprio, who doesn't really look like Vladimir Putin, but you can do.
Does he not?
I don't know. They've got like they've got I think they've got a similar interest in Siberian tigers, but other than that, I don't think they've got a lot in common.
No. So the film for me, I really enjoyed the movie, but that's the word I would use is just enjoyed. Like I wouldn't rush out and see it again. I enjoyed it. I think it handles the issues very nicely, and with little to no political stance either.
Thinking about it a little though, I'm not sure it handles it all that well.
But remember, one thing I will say though is remember that the film is 19 whatever version of that issue. It's not the new age LBGT Tumblr kind of handling.
Part of me felt it was a bit too much, as if Eddie Redmayne had... You could watch the film, and if you weren't paying attention, it could look like he put on some tights once and then invented this character called Lily and then was just playing this character. I mean, as someone who's had voices in my head, friendly ones, but as someone who has had sort of characters in themselves that they've, had extended inside head conversations with, it could begin to look like not as if he's a woman trapped in a man's body, which is perhaps the best way to think about it.
But just a bit of a weirdo.
Rather, he's just someone with this character, and he's just playing this character, and this character is getting... It doesn't... the trouble with it really is it doesn't establish the actual... It doesn't establish him as Lily early on enough. He's just whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know what you mean, and I think you're right to an extent. I agree. Like the way
I understand
the scene in which we first kind of see an inkling of his want to be a woman is, as you say, he puts on a pair of tights, and there's this very knowing shot of his face, like.
But at first, it does just look like a weird sort of sexual kink thing.
It looks more fetishistic than anything else. But then as the film goes on, it becomes a bit more like, oh right, he's transgender, right? I'm with you. But and I think it's a real difficult level because they can't use the T word, transgender, because it wasn't a word.
It wasn't a thing.
It wasn't. The only time that I actually mentioned it in the film is the end card when it's like, oh, this real person, Lily What's-Her-Face, was a grand kind of pioneer with transgender and all this kind of stuff, which was nice. It was really nice to have that end card. But at the same time, it's very difficult because the film treads the thin line between representing transgender, as the modern audience would know it, and representing
the
transgender at the time. But one thing I will say is it does stray away from political footings. Like at no point does it go, anyone who doesn't get it's a wanker. But at no point does it do the opposite, kind of going, this is a bit weird. It's very this is what happened. This is the transition. It doesn't have
an opinion.
Exactly.
It doesn't push an opinion at you. It just shows you the love between these two characters and the ordeal that Eddie Redmayne's character is going through. And that's quite nice, but for me, the film was lacking something, and I don't know what it was. But it was lacking a bigger vision, or it was lacking
gravitas,
some sort of oomph. It needed oomph. I don't know how you put oomph in a film.
As I said to you afterwards, I said to you that one thing that I would have loved to have seen was a more visceral pain from the characters. Especially Redmayne, because I can imagine being, feeling that you're trapped inside a body that is not your own, is probably pretty grim.
It does mention the fact that,
but I would have loved to have seen Eddie Redmayne
scratching at himself.
Exactly, scratching himself. But maybe that's just my own taste of liking kind of visceral and dark films. Like, that's what I'm all about.
This film wasn't trying to be dark or grim particularly. There was mention of Eddie Redmayne's character having considered killing herself. But that was just it was a throwaway comment. It wasn't like dark, brooding shots of him.
Yeah, the only time that we saw any kind of pain was kind of pre and post operations from Eddie Redmayne's character, which was really nice to see. Kind of, I say nice, like writhing around in this hospital bed in agony from what's gone on.
Getting the idea of the first time that surgery had ever been
exactly. It was very well done, but
the risks inherent there. Yeah.
The film is, without a doubt, if you could put an Atlas Film Reviews quote on anything, for me it would be a good film for a Sunday afternoon on the sofa and a cuddle. That's what it is for me. Like, it wasn't a film that I would sit there and go, this is the best film that's ever been made, this is the classic. No, I'd watch it on a Saturday afternoon, fagging a bottle of beer maybe and a girlfriend next to me. That's what I'd like to do. Sadly, I didn't have a sofa and a girlfriend. I had you in a dark cinema. I don't know which is worse. So, on to another film review.
Now, Ryan has seen the film Joy recently.
I did.
I haven't seen it, so I shall be taking the part of the person who hasn't seen Joy yet, and Ryan will tell me a bit about it, and then I'll ask him some questions.
Absolutely.
And try to make jokes at the expense of the film, and all that stuff. So, Ryan, if you'd like to tell me about the film Joy.
Joy is the new film by David O'Sullivan, director of American Hustle and Silver Linings Playbook.
I've seen American Hustle.
Well, at least you've seen one of them. And for me, the film is very much a spiritual successor to Silver Linings, but it isn't as good as Silver Linings Playbook. I really enjoyed Joy. I thought it was a really nice story. I think Jennifer Lawrence's performance is really, really good. She plays the role very well. Basically, to give you a kind of brief synopsis, she is a single mother who's got her entire family kind of relies on her. You've got this bedridden mother who is a bit mental. You've got Robert De Niro, who's this divorcee father who is also a little bit mental in a very different kind of neurotic way. And she's kind of struggling along with her life, and it's a bit sad to watch the kind of first quarter of the film. You kind of see her trying to juggle everything so everything gets on.
And then she invents a mop.
A special mop that is self-wringing and all this kind of stuff, whatever. And her journey then begins. She gets all this. She gets her mop. She gets all the bits together, tries to sell it. Eventually gets a meeting with QVC, who the head of QVC is played by Bradley Cooper,
marketing channel, yes.
Who is fucking incredible. But I'll get onto that shortly. And then the rest of the film kind of continues. I won't say too much more for the sake of giving away too much more of the plot. But it's a very nice film. That's what it is. It's a nice film, and it is a very kind of slow burning slice of life with some phenomenal. Not phenomenal. With some very good performances and some incredible cinematography. But the entire film is just in the shadow of Silver Linings Playbook, which for me is one of the greatest kind of drama films that's happened within the last 5 years. What a movie. And you can see that, because it's obviously got the same returning cast as Silver Linings and some of American Hustle, obviously. It's got these returning cast members to do something, vaguely similar, and doesn't quite hit the mark, but it's very enjoyable.
Right. So I heard from somewhere, possibly, let's say a little bird told me that that there's quite a bit of weirdness in this film. Sort of
to say it quite
strange, slightly surreal bits.
Yeah, quite a bit is unfair, but there are several little scenes which are vaguely Lynchian. In so much as you get these...
You don't really know what's going on, and it's confusing there's a wizard with no eyebrows.
No, that's just Lost Highway. What happens is she has these dreams, in which
an angel comes and presents her with a vision of a new kind of mop.
No. Oh. That's the Virgin Mop. That's a different film. No, what happens is that she has these dreams that kind of are all very white and pristine, and all her family's there, and all this kind of stuff in this weird manor house, which relates to the mother, who is bedbound, watches these really shitty soap operas, which have been created for the film, obviously, but like they're very much a really bad soap opera version of Dynasty in Dallas and that kind of, more Dynasty than anything else, which is really, really funny to watch. Like, those some of the best parts of the film are these really bad, really, really, really bad soap operas where they're all sat there kind of looking vaguely off into cameras, being like, I'll take the revolver and I'll shoot you, Robert. And he's like, no, because I own all of the land and all this kind of, it's so funny.
So how far would you say this film is just a vehicle for those little snippets of...
Sadly not enough. So, there could have been so many more. But these dream sequences, what happens is, like, she's kind of transported into this world, and there are all these little bits, like her younger self, who used to create and want to invent and things like that, comes to her and says, you know, you've got to get your fucking act together. That's not an exact quote, obviously.
Come on, other me, get your act together.
Yeah, which is really, and it works, and strangely it works. It shouldn't, but it does, and it is quite nice. But I think because how the film itself is quite nicely paced, and there are moments, regardless of the dream stuff, there are moments of excessive comedy or a little bit kind of slightly sadder, and I think it works within the pacing of these different spikes in the film to have these strange, almost Lynchian, not quite as good as Lynch, but close to, these like little dream sequences.
These dream sequences actually work, though.
Surprisingly, yeah, I enjoyed them. And if it had been the kind of film that flowed in kind of a linear way rather than having spikes and up and downs in terms of mood anyway, if it had flowed more, it wouldn't have worked. Because of the way there are so many beat changes within the film, it works really, really nicely.
I have to say, you're actually making this sound like a film I might want to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say avoid it, but I wouldn't say rush out and see it. It's enjoyable, certainly.
I must say, when I first heard that Jennifer Lawrence was starring in a film about a woman who invents a kind of mop, I was thinking, oh my god, that
as a synopsis,
that sounds like the most boring thing I've ever heard. And I mean, yes, domesticity and mops, you know, they're important and they're overlooked in the film world, but at the same time, that sounds incredibly
there aren't enough films
dull.
About mops. The mops of Neverone. Bring me the mop of Alfredo Garcia. But I'd like to go back to Bradley Cooper's performance.
Oh yes, Bradley Cooper. And I've heard there's a slightly disappointing sort of romance thing between him and Jennifer Lawrence.
There isn't really a romance, and I'm glad there isn't. There's a little bit of kind of flirting that comes off more as a mutual respect than anything else, which is nice. And I'm glad they didn't go down the romance route with it.
Okay.
It looked like they might quite early on, but then it never does, and I'm really glad that it doesn't, because it would have tarnished the film even further.
Yeah.
But there's this scene with Bradley Cooper when she first comes to kind of QVC, and he's like, "Right, let me show you around our studios," and he brings her down to the floor, and behind him are all of these desks lined out with all these people waiting on their telephones, and in front of them is the stage, this big fake house stage with these women on it who are presenting this. I believe it's it's a necklace that they're presenting, this kind of necklace that can be changed into all these different things, and you need it in your life. It's the best necklace you'll ever own. And there are two shots basically that make up this scene that go from one to another. And there's a shot that kind of it's a mid close up of Bradley Cooper that tracks him around, and then there's a second shot that is just of the stage. And it just cuts between these two. It comes across almost like two long takes running side by side.
Yeah.
And you see these cameras and the stage kind of operating. And Bradley Cooper acts as almost this kind of conductor to the scene. And he goes, okay, and now she's going to show the necklace. And she does so. And she's like, and now she's going to emote. He's like, you need this, you need to buy. And he's like, and he turns and he goes, and now the desks and the phones will start ringing. He's like, yes, ring. Look at those numbers, look at those sales. I'm not doing it any fucking justice, that's for sure. But the way that this scene runs, I was like, this is one of the greatest scenes in recent film history. Like, the rest of the film doesn't live up to it. Like, it's a good film. I can't express that enough. Like, it is a really good film.
A good film with a few moments of...
But that moment alone made that film. It's just this one scene of Bradley Cooper. Like, and Bradley Cooper isn't actually in that film a lot. He's maybe got 5-6 scenes maximum. And that one, I think, is like the second scene that he's properly in, and it is incredible. And for me, it was like, right, I can see what David O. Russell wants to do. It would have been nice to just have a film about Bradley Cooper's character. To be quite honest, like,
well, that'll be the sequel.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see that. But,
QVC, continuing the theme of films with just 3 letters in the title.
But overall, avoiding that kind of part of it, the film really is Jennifer Lawrence playing a typical Jennifer Lawrence role, like a strong, independent woman. She kind of plays herself, really, to an extent. It's good.
Although Jennifer Lawrence, we should add, has never invented a new kind of mop.
Sadly,
so,
no. I think that's the trick she's missing.
What is she doing with her career?
Dreadful. And there's kind of, without kind of giving too much away, I'll try. She kind of, as it goes on, because of her kind of being a female, there are lots of men who kind of screw her over a little bit in the business sense. And at the end of the film...
Well, I was hoping you didn't mean in the other sense. That would make for a quite horrid film.
Oh, yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence in Abused by Businessmen.
Fucking hell. But she then, by the end of the film, kind of... do you know what? No one... I'm going to spoil it. I don't even care. Like...
It's alright, I'm probably not going to watch it.
It's anymore. Fine. She goes to meet this chap at the end of the film, and he's like... She's the one... He's this guy that they've been doing a lot of deals with, the manufacturing stuff. Turns out he's been fucking her over. So there's this shot just in this hotel... In the business sense. And there's this scene within this hotel room where Jennifer Lawrence has done some digging. And she's like... Right, well, turns out the stuff that I've been paying you for licensing fees on our patent, there isn't any other patent that you claimed existed, which is why we're paying you money. That doesn't exist. I've done all my digging. And she proper screws him over and then goes, oh, by the way, I've done some digging and I found all of your fraudulent stuff that I could take you to court for. Now, either you sign this contract and you give me back all my money, or I will take you to court. And like she wins. And it's like, fucking yes, well done. But then it gets weird, because she walks out of the hotel room, head held high, sunglasses on, and then it stops, and this voiceover comes on. And there's a voiceover of this grandmother, who dies halfway through the film, but continues being the voiceover, which I always have a problem with. And she's just like... And it goes...
Just to clue...
go on.
American Beauty...
American Beauty, I think, is one of the few examples where it gets away with it. Like,
because he is dead. He starts
fucking
the film.
Spoiler, Jesus.
He starts the film saying, "This is a year before I died."
Oh yeah, no, fair enough. But no, I think American Beauty is one of the few places where it gets away with it. But like this narration was so. But no, it was bad. It was bad narration. It starts off going, oh, well, this is the story of Joy and her map, told by her grandmammy. And, like, does it throughout. That's not the accent she has, but it's the best I can do. And then it's like, oh, and then, like, 30 minutes or so.
I can see why they didn't give you the callback for the bedridden grandma, Ryan.
David Ross doesn't know what he's doing, mate. And then, like, 30 minutes later, there's, like, one more line, and then an hour passes, and there's another line. Like, this is so scattered. But the grandmother's just like, Joy didn't know then that she was going to go on to big things. Blah, blah, blah. It then cuts, and we get a whole scene where she's living in this huge fuck-off mansion.
Is it the one from her dream?
No, it's a different one. It's a real one this time.
Well, I mean, obviously, that she wasn't living in... That would just be weird, and she'd clearly gone insane if she was living in the mansion from her dream.
It's nothing to do with the dream, sadly.
Yeah,
right. And she's like, these people come in with their inventions, and she's like, this is the invention I've made. And Joy now sat there in beautiful clothes. And
Dragon's Den.
Kinda, and she's just like, I was in your position once, and I know what it's like. I would love you to come in if you can bring me some more prototypes and water. And then this woman and her husband like, oh, thank you so much. And then Bradley Cooper comes in, and they have like a little moment, kind of like, we're still friends in business. And this kind of running thing throughout the film, and she's all powerful and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then it cuts back again to her leaving the hotel and the grandmammy going, "Joy didn't know any of this was going to happen, but it would." And then the film ends. I will note that my voiceover attempt then just sounded more like Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman, but no. But this is the thing, like, if it...
I'd like to see
if it just...
Joy fought the good fight.
Exactly, like,
the sisters
who knows what the
alone.
sisters did to her. But, like, I don't know, there was something about it which didn't really sit right with me. It works within the context of the movie, but, like, if you were to write it down as a series of tropes, I can't imagine that anyone looked at the script and went, yeah, no, that's fucking perfect. Like, there's just something about it that's a bit like, what? Like, I don't know. It's a bit funny, but yeah, overall, good movie, worth a watch. It's not as good as Silver Linings, basically. Well done, David O. Russell. Keep trying. Sorry, mate. So now on to our next segment, which basically we're too poor and too lazy to go and see any new films. So instead, we're taking a look back at some of our favourite films. And this week, Andrew has challenged me to watch Boyhood, one of his favourite films. And we're going to speak about it. So Andrew, would you like to start us off?
Boyhood is a 2.5 hour long monster of a film.
2 hours and 41 minutes.
41?
41!
It's the best film that's ever been made about how life is. It's the antidote to all that is pompous or too... It's to everything that's fake about filmmaking. It is the antidote to that. It is a breath of fresh air. It is as close to a breath of fresh air as a film can be. It's just, it follows the life of this boy for 12 years. And, I mean, for a film that's 2 hours and 41 minutes long, it goes by so well. I really enjoy it. Like, I didn't see it when it was, being nominated for all the Oscars and stuff. I didn't get a chance to watch it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I've watched a lot of kind of slice of life cinema, and for me, even some of like the world cinema stuff that gets kind of put to the wayside by a Western audience, and I've seen a lot of this crap, and for me, this is the best example of it that I have seen. That these 12 years, they flow so nicely. The film is beautifully paced, and for something that is over 2.5 hours long, and I said to you when we were watching it, I didn't feel at any time any fatigue, none at all, and I appreciate that so much. You finish the film and it feels like you could have been there an hour and a half. Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't feel like you've spent nearly 3 hours watching it. It's so gentle, but at the same time, there are some brilliant moments of tension. But they're all actors. It's all acted, but it feels so real. I feel like you're just watching. It feels it's the most beautifully shot documentary. It's like you're just watching this family. It's not even. It doesn't even feel like a documentary. It feels like you're just there, just hovering like a thought, absolutely. Just watching them, and you're not part of what's going on. They're just. Yeah, it was an incredible movie. Like I just think it's preposterously well done. Like it's such a brilliant visionary idea, and the idea itself would have been good, but the way they've brought it into life is just. It's like, for me, like the performances and the cinematography, kind of the two most important factors, aside from a few other bits in filmmaking, are not necessarily stunning. Like, the cinematography is very, very basic, and the performances are very natural, but there's no standout performance. But on the flip side of that, life doesn't have amazing cinematography. Life doesn't have these amazing performances. It's totally. And I think that's what's important. That's the thing. It's the verisimilitude of the film is fucking. Oh man! You don't notice. It doesn't look like the actors are acting. It looks like they're just people who are existing. And whereas to contrast the Danish Girl, there is no point when you believe that Eddie Redmayne is this person in 1940, whatever. Like, yes. You're very conscious that it's a period drama. Yes, like you're watching Eddie Redmayne play a character, and it's Eddie Redmayne. Absolutely. At no point does he shake that off. But I don't know quite. rather with some of the characters in Boyhood, it happened the other way around. For me, Ethan Hawke, that is how he is. He is the Ethan Hawke you see who is a film star is putting on an act.
Yeah.
The real Ethan Hawke is that guy in the film. For some reason they call him Mason, but it's just Ethan Hawke.
I mean, second to kind of
but it's
Patricia Arquette, Ethan Hawke is the biggest name in the film. And because it obviously started filming 12 years ago, well 13 years ago now, but like because it started filming then, doesn't look like Ethan Hawke. Like, doesn't look like the Ethan Hawke we know and love now. The grizzly, kind of slightly older Ethan Hawke.
What this film does, it's you get to watch this child grow up. The first and second time I watched it, I left the cinema because I saw it twice in the cinema. Well, actually 3 times in cinemas. But anyway, I really loved this film. But I left the cinema thinking, I actually want to have kids. That's the effect this film had on me. You watch this kid grow up, and it's just he starts off with this young little boy, like I think he must be like 6 years old, whatever, 5 or 6.
Yeah, something like that.
You're just watching him, and it's just so nice. And then you watch him, and he grows up into this young man, and goes off to college, and it's just
it's really really nice.
You watch him grow up. And
it is beautifully paced. Like
over the space of almost 3 hours, you watch a child grow up, and you feel like you're part of that.
And I think what's really interesting is what I said to you while we were watching it again is like the fact that this young lad is almost not the protagonist of the film. He's kind of the eyes through which we view this real world, as real as it can be anyway. He's through the eyes through which we see this real world and the way that it reacts and the way that it grows and the way that it changes. But he doesn't go through... I mean, he has his changes and his personality grows, but he doesn't have...
He only really becomes a strong character about halfway, 2/3 of the way through.
He doesn't have the typical protagonist, problem, solution, resolution kind of thing. That doesn't happen. He just exists through the film.
This film is structured around life. It just starts when it starts and it finishes when it finishes.
It reminds me very much of kind of...
ending.
No, there isn't. It just finishes because it finishes.
Life continues, but the film stops because the film can't go on forever.
It reminds me very much of kind of Ozu's Tokyo Story, which is a similar kind of film, a Japanese film about family life. I think that is very much the film that it reminded me of the most. The way that it operates and the way that it flows. And then kind of you've got Panther Panchali, which is an Indian film, very much a slice of life. It's the very same kind of thing. I feel more than being a Hollywood film, it draws on the art and the world cinema world of creating real life. You don't see a lot of that in popular Hollywood anymore.
It's just it's a new way of...
Yeah, it's a really interesting way of making a film, and it's nice to see Hollywood do it rather than some indie or some foreign film doing it. Because there are tens and hundreds of world cinema pieces that do that just as well. But it's nice to see the genre being done with a Hollywood budget.
The director, I'm pretty sure, is
Richard Linklater.
He a lot of his films deal with the sort of passage of time. Like he's got his, I can't remember what it is, it's like Before Dawn, After Dusk, whatever, those films about these two people in a relationship. I think that's Ethan Hawke as well. He likes Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
As we all do. He's a lovely man.
No, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad you showed it to me, and I can very much see why it's a favourite film, because unlike a lot of other films that we're very familiar with anyway, it has that breath of realism, that kind of neo-realism, fly on the wall aspect, which I just think is beautiful. It's just really, really nice.
It's just so honest and so...
That's the word.
So
that's
profound.
Definitely the word, honest.
But
and for us as well, being a very similar age to the character...
Oh yes, it's a big nostalgia trip for us.
It's time capsule is what it is. Like
watching them play Halo 2.
Oh, but I was so excited.
With their Game Boy Advance SP, just
it's a time capsule of our generation growing up, and at the same time, you could imagine our parents watching it, going, "This is exactly what it was like bringing up."
The first time I went to see it, I think it was in a little art house cinema in I think it was Henley, and the audience was me, 2 of my friends. All about the same age as me, and then everyone else was a middle-aged person who looked like they had kids, and we were sitting there, and they were sort of they were all watching it, and they laughed at the bits where you thought parents would laugh, and yeah, we were sitting there thinking we feel a little out of place, but lots of middle-aged people who have kids were watching it feeling nostalgic.
It's a really good film, and I can see why it got the hype that it did. And I'm sad I didn't get to see it in the cinema. I think it would have been a really nice experience.
Its Rotten Tomatoes Metacritic score thing is still, I think, 99.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I saw that. It's mental.
The critics absolutely loved it,
and I'm glad we shared it. I really am.
I thought you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, I did.
So what's my recommendation? What are you going to get me to watch for the next one?
We're going to go hardcore into one of my all-time favourite films, David Lynch's Blue Velvet. So tune in next month for
Andrew trying to figure out what the hell a David Lynch film is about.
Finally, we'd just like to both of us pay tribute to two of the greats that departed recently. Firstly, Mr. Alan Rickman.
Yes, Alan Rickman. I will always remember him as Snape, obviously, because I'm a massive Harry Potter fan, but also, if you haven't watched it, go out and watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, because you'll be amazed
at Sheriff of Nottingham, what a great role.
The terrible, terrible film that Morgan Freeman was somehow inexplicably in.
Yeah.
The saving grace of the film was Alan Rickman playing... was he the sheriff?
He was the sheriff of Nottingham, yeah.
Not the prince of whatever, but yes. The wonderful bit where he camps the thing up, and it's just so good. The bit where he storms out and wants Christmas to be cancelled. He's honing his finest sort of villainness there.
And just Harry Potter, Hans Gruber.
Hans Gruber, of course.
Absolutely. And Space Quest.
Wasn't it Spaceballs?
No, Space Quest.
Was it Space Quest?
Space Quest, when he plays the actor playing an alien. Oh, Space Quest is a great... If you've never seen Space Quest, you have to watch it. You've not seen Space Quest? Oh,
I think I've seen bits of it.
You need to see it. That's an incredible
possibly I've seen bits of Spaceballs. I don't know.
I think from watching that feels the closest of seeing any real world actor. Like he plays a version of himself, kind of thing, where he's in this kind of Star Trek parody.
Yes. No, I know the basic plot there.
And
Star Trek
brought into a world that has basically been based off of their adventures. And Alan Rickman is just not happy about it the entire time, and it is wonderful. Good old Alan Rickman. And also, from an arty point of view, incredible stage actor. Did a lot of Beckett work. And there's a couple of his...
And managed to be incredibly sexy for someone who then went on to play Snape.
But if you get a chance, have a look at him playing in a couple of the Beckett plays. I'm sure they're on YouTube. Fantastic performance, incredible actor, and he will be sorely missed, especially from the Potter fans, I feel.
Yes. There's a lovely, lovely video on YouTube somewhere, which is Alan Rickman basically doing suspense just with body acting, and it's a slow motion film of him making a cup of tea, and it is the most broodingly powerful thing you'll ever see.
Look that up.
So yes, look that up and remember him fondly.
And
secondly,
my personal hero, I think I would say,
the visionary actor. Also, he did music as well,
didn't
he?
Oh, I think he might have done 1 or 2 albums. I'm not sure.
David Bowie or David Jones.
David Jones. Oh,
you know why he picked the name? Well, David Bowie or Bowie. He couldn't be. He wanted to be.
Couldn't be Davy Jones because
of the guy from the
Beach
Monkees.
Beach Boys. No, Beach Boys. Davy Jones. Beach Boys. Yeah.
You sure?
100%.
Okay, I'll go with you.
I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is.
It was either the Monkees or the Beach. They're basically the same thing.
Fuck them.
Yes, David Bowie picked it because of the guy, the American general who invented the Bowie or Bowie knife.
Oh, there you go. That's
where that came
There's
from.
a little fun fact. Don't say we didn't tell you anything. But no, I think for me, a little tribute. David Bowie, his music has gotten me through more hard times than I could count on one hand.
It's a cigarette.
Oh, and you know when
Puts it in your mouth.
When he passed away, I did have a little.
Pull on a finger.
I had a little cry.
Finger, then
did you?
Cigarette.
He's just having a sing song.
He's calling.
Andrew, we've got to finish this podcast, mate. I had a little cry. I'm not going to lie to you.
I came close.
Close
to tears.
yeah, and his films as well.
Man Who Fell to Earth.
Man
Still
Who Fell
haven't
to
watched
Earth.
that. I really need
Beautiful
to.
film where he's just almost
When he reveals that he is actually a space alien. So it's okay, he's not dead, he's just a space alien who's moved on.
Interesting fact related
David
to the
Bowie
man...
was actually a space alien?
No, his latest song, Lazarus, the new single that's come out, that is written from the perspective of the alien from The Man Who Fell to Earth.
Ah.
As an old man. That's what the song's about.
Ah.
And if you watch the film, and if you've got any knowledge of David Bowie, when you watch it, you'll understand that the film is almost to a point of allegory to his own life, being this character who is kind of thrust into the limelight, but is very much not with the kind of the status quo of the world, all this kind of stuff. And it's very sad. And then obviously other film performances: Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, Labyrinth, also starring David Bowie's penis.
The Prestige.
The Prestige
As
playing
Nikola
Tesla. Oh my god!
And also the what was he? The Underwater King in SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yes, the King of Atlantis in the SpongeBob episode. I just think one of the most influential people who has ever walked this earth. And there was a quote running around at the moment that says, the world is over 10 billion years old. Just be happy that you got to be alive at the same time as David Bowie. And I think that's very true. And I don't know what I'm going to do, really. If David Lynch dies within this year, I think I will kill myself. That's a promise.
I'm going to hold you to that, right?
Yeah, please. Anyway, so next month we are going to be hosting the Atlas Film Awards.
Yes, we may even make some awards out of polystyrene cups and gold paint.
And we'll send them off to the winners if they lift the restraining orders.
Dear the Revenant, what is your address? Actually, we can't send this letter if we don't know their address. Anyway, we'll just post it to America. It'll find them.
Yeah, they'll do it. They'll do the work. So yeah, our film awards are going to be next month's podcast. We hope you listen to them. Make sure that you get your black tie ready. Are you gonna wear black tie, or are you just gonna do what we usually do and record this in our pants?
You know what? I might not even wear pants.
It's always a party. So next month, Atlas Film Awards. But for now, thank you very much for listening.
We'll see you then.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.